With over 51% of the votes counted, the National Electoral Council calls the election for the Freedom and Refoundation Party candidate Xiomara Castro. The president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, arrived in the Amazon region to attend the affected communities after the strong earthquake of magnitude 7.5 registered in the country early this Sunday. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says he is deeply disappointed by the unjustified travel bans linked to the discovery of the new highly mutated coronavirus variant Omicron. Hello, you're watching from the South. I am your news anchor, Diego Martin, in the TeleSUR studios in Havana. We begin with the news. Stay with us. According to Honduras Electoral Council, opposition candidate Xiomara Castro held a clear lead over conservative ruling party contender Xiomara. If elected, the candidate from the Liberty and Refoundation Party would become the first woman to lead the country, as well as Honduras' first president to be democratically elected on a socialist platform. The country's Electoral Council and electoral observers have urged candidates to avoid declaring victory until all the votes are in. With 45% of the polling station tallies in, Xiomara Castro had 53% of the votes, and Xiomara 33%, according to the National Electoral Council preliminary count. Honduras National Electoral Council president said the recent elections had a historic turnout of almost 70%.
The Honduran people have demonstrated that we can build a peaceful future with democracy. We have achieved a very historical turnout during this election. Secondly, we are very happy to inform to Honduras that the IT biometrical system has been a very important element in this process to guarantee the accurate result of this process.
Hondurans took to the streets after learning the results of the general elections and the victory of Xiomara Castro, candidate of the Liberty and Refoundation Party. The virtual winner of this presidential election, Xiomara Castro, took to Twitter to celebrate the election outcome and thank the voters. She wrote, "Thanks to the people, we turned 12 years of tears and pain into joy. The sacrifice of our martyrs was not in vain. We will begin an era of prosperity and solidarity through dialogue with all sectors, without discrimination and without sectarianism." Candidate Xiomara Castro acknowledged the people's role in the elections and promised to create a government of reconciliation.
Is the hero of this history, and because they have supported us during all the campaign. We are going to create a government to reconcile the government with all the sectors. We are going to create a government of peace and of justice.
Xiomara Castro added they will guarantee a true participatory democracy in the entire nation and that never again will the Honduran people be oppressed by governments.
We're going to begin in the whole nation to guarantee a democracy that is going to be a participative democracy, because we are going to answer all the calls from the people. We are going to follow that principle. We are going to listen to all the claims from the people, from the regions, from the deputies, from the National Congress, from the mayors and the governors in the regions. Never again, women and men from Honduras, we will never abuse again from we will never use abusement from the government again. From this moment on, the people of Honduras will be will be the main hero in Honduras. We are going for a straight democracy. We are going to have a democracy with participation of the people.
And in Chile, the presidential candidate for the left-wing coalition, Apruebo Dignidad, I Approve Dignity, Gabriel Boric, could gain an advantage in the second round of the presidential elections, according to a poll published on Sunday. The data published by the poll Pulso Ciudadano Citizen Pulse shows that Boric could obtain 40.4% of the votes in the balloting on December 19th compared to his opponent from the extreme right, José Antonio Cast, who would obtain 24.5% of the votes. One of the objectives of the survey was to find out the fate of those who voted for Franco Parisi, who in the first round obtained close to 1 million votes, of whom, according to the study, 36.8% have already decided to vote for Boric and only 12.4% would vote for Cast. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, denounced that the delegation of the European Union that visited the country to participate as international observers in the mega elections of last November 21st served as spies with the intention of staining the democratic process.
Those who came as enemies, the delegation of spies from the European Union, did not find a single element to criticize the electoral system. They searched in a report full of improvisations and poorly written. They searched and tried to stain the impeccable and democratic electoral process of Venezuela, and they could not do it. A delegation of spies that was not that of international observers. They were freely deployed around the country, spying the social, economic, and political life of the country.
The Venezuelan president stressed that the opposition candidates achieved a good result in last Sunday's regional and municipal elections.
It must also be said that the oppositions have gained their space. The oppositions have had a good amount of governorships and mayorships. I think that the opposition has done well.
President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, expressed his support and urged the governors and mayors elected from the opposition parties to meet with his government to adopt cooperation agreements, including all Venezuelan sectors.
I also reach out my hand to all governors, mayors, men and women elected for the opposition parties or other independent parties that are neither Bolivarian Chavistas nor are the opposition and self-define themselves as independent. I reach out my hand to everyone for peace and to work for our country.
The drums of San Juan, a traditional practice in different states of Venezuela, is one step away from being declared cultural and intangible world heritage. Our correspondent Andre Vieira traveled to the coast to learn about this tradition. The details are in the following report.
Between the mountains and the Caribbean Sea is Todasana, a fishing community located 3 hours from Caracas, a land of peacefulness, of Afro-descendants resistance, a land of drums. One drum beats, the other one marks the rhythm, and the third one plays the bass. They play for San Juan, a 17th century tradition, a culture that goes through the years.
I come from one generation and I'm teaching the other generation how to play the drum. Practically my whole family on my mother's side plays and I like to play.
San Juan, San Juancito, San Juan es tu día. San Juan Maricongo, San Juan toda sana.
Prevented from experiencing their culture by the Spanish colonizers, those who were kidnapped in Africa and forced into slavery in America used the devotion to the Catholic saint as an opportunity to practice their beliefs.
Freedom and San Juan are the ones who help us to have that spirituality, that peace, the harvest and harmony.
Lorenza Augueto, 65 years old, is a guardian of the drumming tradition. She dedicated part of her life to walk 4 kilometers to teach in rural areas and today she is in charge of keeping the Batuque alive. The community of Talasana and 150 other villages in Venezuela are candidates to be declared UNESCO's cultural and intangible heritage through the festivities surrounding the cult and tradition of San Juan Bautista.
We recognize it as our heritage, but the fact that it is now World Heritage is something that is a matter of pride and joy for all of us.
After going through 2 stages, the final declaration by UNESCO will be announced in December. If the candidacy is approved, the drums of San Juan will be the 8th cultural and intangible heritage of Venezuela.
Let's make the drums of San Juan sound when the celebration of San Juan Bautista Day is held on the 23rd and 24th. But also in December we're going to beat the drums together with the melodies of the Christmas season. The drums are going to resound, I say, that they are going to be heard in the whole Venezuelan coast.
From the Caribbean coast, they make a call to the world.
I want to make an invitation to all the people of Venezuela, to all visitors who come to know our authentic tradition, our ancestral tradition, and the legacy left to us by our ancestors.
Culture resists, advances, and multiplies. No one can silence the sound of the drums, beating for the freedom of a people.
Desde el estado La Guaira, André Vieira y Jesús Romero, TeleSUR, Venezuela.
The President of Peru, Pedro Castillo, arrived in the Amazon region to attend to the affected communities after the strong earthquake of magnitude 7.5 registered in the country early this Sunday. The head of state took to Twitter to express his solidarity with the affected citizens. This after the meeting with the National Emergency Operations Center SEON to assess monitoring and evaluate the situation in which the areas where the damages were recorded. The President also informed that he ordered the ministries and the different government agencies to conduct immediate actions to attend to the emergency. The 7.5 magnitude earthquake was registered in the Amazon region with aftershocks that were felt in the capital, Lima, and other cities of the country, as well as in Ecuador and Colombia.
We have addressed and urged our cabinet, the ministries and the decentralized agencies of the central government to attend not only in Condorcanqui, but these earthquakes has caused a lot of damage this morning. You can be sure that as of today, we will be immediately with you through the ministries.
Several thousand people gathered in central Belgrade on Sunday to protest the high levels of pollution in Serbia. The latest demonstrations follow a day after skirmishes erupted between police, environmental groups, and anti-government demonstrators. Sunday's protest, named for Safe Breathing Air, was organized by EcoWatch, an environmental group. The protesters are aiming to change government policies on problems related to the natural environment. Serbia is one of the most polluted states in Europe, but public protests have gained attention only recently, with activists accusing the authorities of allowing foreign investors to cause further damage to the environment.
Third protest for 3 winters we are actually organizing through social network to gather, to gather many people that can actually make a critical mass so we can push the institutions in Serbia to make a change.
The eruption of the Cumbre Vieja volcano on La Palma, which is part of the Canary Islands in Spain, continued as it kept spewing lava, ash, and gases over 2 months after it began erupting. A new lava flow has appeared at the rear flank of the volcano. The new lava stream was detected at approximately 3 a.m. local time on Sunday morning and is moving in a northeasterly direction. This latest development is concerning for authorities as it could consume more land and destroy more residential areas if it keeps advancing. Although the volcano has seen decreased activity, the smoke and lava continue to spew from its cone, as scientists have said it could last up to 3 months. La Palma has been shaken by earthquakes every few minutes. The latest one is recorded to have a magnitude of 3.3 on the Richter scale. There are more news coming up after a final short break. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back to From the South. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says he is deeply disappointed by the unjustified travel bans linked to the discovery of the new highly mutated coronavirus variant Omicron. Likewise, President Ramaphosa says the outbreak of the Omicron variant should be a wake-up call to the world that the vaccine inequality cannot be allowed to continue.
Omicron variant should be a wake-up call to the world that vaccine inequality cannot be allowed to continue. Until everyone is vaccinated, everyone will continue to be at risk. Until everyone is vaccinated, we should expect that more variants will keep on emerging. Instead of prohibiting travel, the rich countries of the world need to support the efforts of developing countries, economies that is, to access and to manufacture enough vaccine doses for their people without delay.
And more European countries take preventive measures to curb the Omicron strain. The new COVID-19 variant first reported in South Africa has been identified in patients in Belgium, the United Kingdom, Germany, the Czech Republic, Italy, and the Netherlands. This new variant has set off alarm bells on the continent due to data from the WHO, which indicate that Omicron has a higher rate of reinfection. The suspension of flight connections with southern African nations and the return to different levels of confinement in spite of the resistance of negationist sectors are among measures advanced by several governments. Meanwhile, at least 12 countries in the world have reported infection with the new Omicron strain of COVID-19, including Germany, Australia, the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, Denmark, South Africa, Botswana, the Hong Kong region of China, Israel, Italy, the United Kingdom, and Belgium. According to virology specialists, this new variant has 32 mutations in the spike protein, capable of affecting the virus's ability to infect cells and spread. The variant was detected following an exponential increase in COVID-19 infections in South Africa and reported in early September. Top European migration officials are holding an emergency meeting on Sunday in the French port of Calais to find ways to better fight migrant smuggling. The meeting comes after 27 people died trying to cross the English Channel to Britain in an overcrowded inflatable boat. UK officials will be notably absent from the gathering at the Calais City Hall after Wednesday's sinking. The deadliest of its kind prompted a new political crisis between Britain and France. It was decided that from December 1st, a plane operated by EU border agency Frontex will help the countries to monitor their shores. Aid groups, meanwhile, are arguing for more humane, coordinated asylum policies instead of just more police.
We choose not to invite the British minister here to Calais. We work in Europe with the committee, we show our solidarity, but we want to work with our British friends and allies. First of all, because geography forces us to do so, because the border with Great Britain is a day-to-day border, because there is a sea 30 kilometers from the French and European coast. We have a tunnel, we have very important economic, political and cultural exchanges. The British are our allies, Europe's allies and France's allies of course, and we must work with them. This meeting was not anti-English, it was pro-European.
European Union and NATO leaders meet in Lithuania to assess the migrant crisis in Belarus and Russia's military presence near the Ukraine. The meeting comes ahead of a session of NATO foreign ministers to be held this week in Latvia with the presence of United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and head of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen once again accused Belarus of organizing the migration crisis on its border as a hybrid threat against the EU with no solid evidence, and expressed concern about the alleged Russian military deployment near the Ukrainian border.
Lithuania has been facing a deliberate, cynical, and dangerous hybrid attack, an attack organized by the Lukashenko regime. It is putting at risk the life of innocent civilians lured to the Belarus border under false promises.
We stand ready to defend all allies, and we will continue to provide our partner Ukraine with political and practical support.
Thousands of farmers and supporters vow to keep up their fight against agricultural reforms until the government fulfills its plan to revoke contentious laws they say will destroy their livelihoods. The new laws aim to allow farmers to sell their produce directly to private companies at mutually agreed prices and anywhere they could find a buyer. Elections trumped the urgency for agricultural reform in Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's surprise decision on Friday to repeal new farm laws, economists and political analysts said.
Our first duty as well to protect our rights as consumer as well. So it's not only farmers issue, it is a consumer issue, normal people's issue, public's issue as well. Government not repealed, they have just announced the repeal, that they will repeal the laws. Not because they think they were wrong, but because they understand that these protests will hamper their elections results as well. So just because of political gains they have done this, otherwise I don't think this government has any sympathy for farmers.
We've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at TeleSUR English. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I am Diego Martin. Thanks for watching.